Welcome to the Veterans Impact Show, where our commitment is to help, hope, and healing of our veteran family and our nation. I'm Jim Blythe, a U.S. Navy veteran and a certified senior advisor. Join us as we continue the mission of leadership and commitment to our communities and our great country. Why, you never know where we're going to go or who you're going to meet. We invite you to join in, plug in, and share in what we do. This is your Veterans Impact Show. Welcome aboard. Hey, this is a great day. I mean, it's the fall. I have a very, very special guest with me today as my co-host, the Honorable Bill Chatfield. And Bill, you are the deputy or the director of selective service under George W. Bush. And thank you for being on board today, man.
Thank you for allowing me to be on board, Navy brother.
Well, the Marines have landed.
Uh-huh.
And I got to tell you, joining us today, Major General Robert Dees. We've gotten to know General Dees through Bill and through Cedric, who couldn't be here today. And he is the director of the president of the National Center for Healthy Veterans, which is really an amazing organization which has 399 acres that they have a facility called Valor Farm, correct?
That's right.
Okay, General Dees, tell us a little bit about your center and what you guys do so we can lead into why we're talking today, because we've done it before, but we have a special request for today.
You bet. Well, Jim, first of all, it's good to be with you. I honor your efforts and Diane and others on this Veterans Impact Show. It's a great service to a lot of people. What we do at the National Center for Healthy Veterans, our bumper sticker is to return healthy veterans to America. And when by health, we say physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, relational wellness. Now, for some of our veterans here, that doesn't come easy because they've suffered injuries, mental, emotional, others on our behalf, and so they are at risk. Some of them that come here are suicidal. Some of them have come out of prison, some of them from under bridges, some failure to launch from their parents' basement playing video games, some who have said that they tried to outrun their trauma with their job, and so they're burned out. So all of those, we work to get them healthy. And we're a little unique across America because we're a 9-month residential program. We have community living to defeat isolation. We have dignified work to provide purpose, self-esteem. We're an active farm, ranch, construction operation. We have faith-based trauma recovery and life skills programs because that helps them understand tools, resilience tools, to emotionally regulate and to navigate adversity in their lives. And then finally, we have career preparation. We want to get them back out on the track and do good things for America, all in this beautiful healing platform in Virginia. Now, all that said, when we say we want to get them back out on the track, we think that America's veterans are an untapped national treasure. You know, the courage, the competence, the commitment, the character, all of those things, once they take off their uniform, none of that changes. And so they're an untapped national treasure. And frankly, America needs our veterans now more than ever before as businessmen, entrepreneurs, coaches, educators, and societal role models. So that's a quick machine gun for you, Jim.
Well, Bill, you've been involved with General Dees for a number of years, and you've seen many of the effects and the people that have gone through Valor Farm. And it's really an amazing program, isn't it?
Well, that's an understatement, Jim. It's more than an amazing program. There's so much, and I've had the pleasure for the last couple decades of working with a lot of foundations who care about our veterans, our warriors. And I've had the pleasure of knowing General Bob Dees a long time, back in his distinguished Army days, actually. And I'm just so delighted the way that he and his colleagues in Virginia just administer this program for heroes. And there's other programs that do a pretty good job, but Valor Farm is exceptional the way they master the art of helping a warrior get back into society and helping them a lot. So yes, Jim, I'm familiar with it and very proud to be part of it.
Well, one of the things you mentioned, it's a 9-month program. If anybody knows anything about the various facilities, most of them are 30-day programs, which your insurance can pay for. Now, Valor Farm, though, is it's a 9-month program, 9 months. So that's a real chance to get yourself squared away, get yourself, you're talking about detox, whether it's alcohol, prescription medicine, or just life in general, and a chance in 9 months to really, really change your life. Now, one of the reasons I've had you on before, and I was just amazed is what we talked about. So one of the things, I called you up and I talked to you yesterday, and I said, what I found out is you'd had a major disaster. You had a major fire. And so I wanted to talk to everybody and show the pictures. And Jordan, if you'll pull that up, of what happened to you guys and when did this happen and how bad was the damage?
Right. You look at these pictures, and on November the 11th, which is on the left-hand side, that was a group of 125 volunteers having a prayer circle before they worked for 4 hours, helping us get ready for the Veterans Day event that would occur on November the 11th. And so the reality is it was all set up, and then our barn manager reported for duty the next morning, and they saw the right-hand side. The barn was totally engulfed in flames. It ended up burning totally to the ground. And that barn operation had 18 horse stalls. It had 5 administrative offices in it, to include a conference room and our IT servers and all that. And then it had a maintenance facility as well. So all of that was a total loss, quite a shock. But, we're undaunted. Our whole mantra is resilience, so that's what we're working. On the left, you see that soldier's cross, a familiar helmet, rifle, boots. There's dog tags on there that you can't really see. All of that was about 5 feet away from the barn that went down, and yet that soldier cross stayed standing firm. And that's just a powerful symbol of our veterans and the way they endure hardship and stay standing tall. You can see on that right-hand side, that soldier's cross is still back in the background there, standing tall amidst the carcass, if you will, of the whole barn that burned down. And so we obviously not going to let any grass grow under our feet. We're already working rebuilding. We need help, as most of your viewers would appreciate. The insurance doesn't begin to cover all of the actual cost of this disaster, and so we need a little help from our friends. My grandmother used to say, "Many hands make light work."
Absolutely.
So we're at this point in time, we have a specific need that we're hoping great people of Texas and beyond can help us with.
Okay, now people can go to the website, the National Center for Healthy Veterans, .org. Is that correct? Did I
That's
get that
correct.
right? Okay, and there is a donate button. And Jordan, can you pull that up as well so we can show people there is a donate button? This is what you're looking for. So if you take the red banner at the top, you'll be able to see the fire damage. And if you come down, you'll find a donate button. So we're asking if you could give us $10, if you could give us $5, if you could give us $1,000, $100,000. Hey, you're a corporation. You want to support helping healthy veterans. You want to support a tremendous effort. And let me tell you something. The methods that they're using, we're going to talk more about in this broadcast to help veterans, but this is a major facility and a major part of their equine therapy, where they had their servers, their conference room, all of that. This is a total loss. As you said, insurance isn't going to cover it all, but we need to come back better. We need to be better. That's what resilience is all about. Correct, Bob?
That's exactly right. We use the analogy of a tennis ball or an egg. And so we choose to be tennis balls and bounce back instead of being shattered by something like this. And our resilience training makes all the difference.
Well, I heard a minister once do a sermon about, and he talked, Bill, about sometimes things have to get broken before they can really get fixed. And the breaking part is pretty terrible to go through. But when you get to the other side, it's always a lot better. So this would be a brand new facility. You're working now. Do you have any idea what the total cost of this facility will be?
Yeah, the new facility cost estimate is 1.8 million. And many people would have said that the previous barn was well worth that, but that's not what insurance gives us. The insurance has given us about 816,000. So it's about a delta of $1 million to rebuild the function that was lost.
Okay, we got more than 1 million veterans in the United States, right, Bill?
Correct.
A whole lot more, right?
Yep.
If everybody gave a buck, if everybody donated a buck, we could have that barn completely paid off and done in no time. If you could give 10 bucks, then we'd only need a smaller number of people. So I'm putting out a plea. I'm asking you on the basis of the Valor Farm, for the National Center for Veterans Health, all this, again, go to the website and donate. And we're going to be mentioning that several times in this program. I'm going to make this kind of like one of you go to your fundraiser, Bill, and the MC gets up and says, hey, you got to give, sign the pledge card. We're asking you to push the button. Push the button. Oh, my wife just flashed and she said, all right, we're going to give $200 right there. So there's one from Dallas right now of $200. Well, how about some other people?
Good for you guys.
Okay.
Good for you guys. Well, it's humbling, but we really appreciate it.
It's important. It's really important because one of the things a lot of people don't realize is about 30% of all veterans have some problem, some disability when they come back. That means 70% are great, and they're blowing the doors off. Guys like you, even a Marine, you know, Bill.
Even a Marine. right down to brass tacks.
Yeah. But for that 30%, the impact on family, the impact on the economy, and these men and women have been trained in resilience, have been trained in being able to be creative, being able to be innovative. You know, one of the things you learn in the Marine Corps is what? Adapt, improvise, and
overcome,
achieve.
and overcome.
Yeah. And so without a doubt, we are helping not just men and women who are going to Valor Farm and with this 9-month program, but we're helping our nation because the things you're learning out of this program can be applied to other people. You said there's a spinoff getting started in Kentucky right now.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're excited. Bluegrass Veterans Farm came here about 3 years ago, and we mentored them on process and what we've learned and tried to help accelerate their efforts. So they cut a ribbon 3 Fridays ago, and they're open now in Bluegrass Veterans Farm, Somerset, Kentucky, and that's just one of many. We're hopeful.
How come all you got you're building back there in the East Coast in the beautiful forest and where it's really pretty, and you need to come to the cotton fields in North Texas, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's where I grew up.
Right,
I grew up in I grew up in Amarillo, Jim.
Yeah.
So and I understand North Texas, and yeah, I agree with it. We need to find some passionate advocates to do this, and I'll help them in every way possible, and we'll get the crank turning on behalf of veterans in Texas in the same way.
Okay, General Dees, how can we get a hold of you? What is your email? What is a way that we can contact you if we say, hey, I've got 500 acres near Dallas. I've got 500 acres near Fort Worth. I want to, or somewhere between Dallas and Waco, I want to get this going for Valor Farm. How would they contact you?
Oh, it's easy. Just go to contact at healthyveterans.org.
Okay.
Best way to, and our team will sift those out, and we'll get answers and respond.
Now, but we're going to go to a break in just a few minutes. I want to start digging in to what you do with those veterans. What are some of the things? And I know equine therapy was a big part of it. You didn't lose any horses, but you lost a couple of donkeys, if I understand.
We did. We lost a couple of therapy donkeys that were beloved, and so that was hard for people, understandably. Gratefully, we didn't lose horses. As you mentioned, Jim, equine therapy is a critical part of our program, and that's why we have such a sense of urgency to rebuild the barn. Equine therapy is like an MRI machine on 4 hooves. And it's incredibly valuable for our veterans, both on the ground with a lot of the equine therapy that we use. We have 7 certified therapists that work with counselors at the same time in an equine therapy session. And then also we have horsemanship training, which is really powerful. So that whole equine program is a critical element of our overall program with our veterans.
I am very familiar with the equine program, and you are too, because
Yes,
we've got eQuest down in the South Dallas in that big facility down there in Trinity Forest. And it was headed up and started by Jeff Hensley, who's now gone back to flying for United Airlines, but it had such an amazing effect. And there's just something about the rapport between a horse and a rider, but something for the veterans, something, and they use this a lot in children. True, correct, Bob?
Yeah, that's exactly right. One of our challenges with veterans is when they come to us, they're pretty shut down. I mean, they can't even look you in the eye oftentimes or have a decent conversation. But we find as they interact with horses and they can communicate with horses and then tell their story through the eyes, if you will, of a horse, and that allows the socialization process to kick in. And then pretty soon, the good news is you can't shut them up. So it's a lot of fun to see that happen in their lives, not just the equine therapy, but the other programs that really help them blossom and achieve their full potential.
I've seen that many times here in Dallas, and Bill, I know you have too. And I think it's really important. And so we want to support this. So let's go back. We want people to go take a look at National Center for Healthy Veterans.org and understand what we are doing is we're raising money so that they can have a new horse barn, a new facility, and a new opportunity to train veterans. We're only talking about one aspect of what Valor Farm does, and that is the equine therapy. And I know it works. Bill, you know it works as well.
Well, I'm very familiar with that program and the efficacy. And Bob Dees and I have a mutual friend who's very special. Do you need to go to the break? You want to talk about this after the break?
We'll talk about this after the break.
Okay.
So please go to that and take a look and hit the donate button. We want to help Valor Farm. We have already, my wife has said, you're giving $200. Pull it out of my wallet right now. All right, we'll be right back after these words from all of our partners, and we're so thankful for them. So please stay with us. You're watching the Veterans Impact Show. We're here for you. Welcome back, and thanks to our great sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage, Healing Thine Heart's Ministry, and Symbios Integrative Health. Now, let's get back to this conversation. We've got a great conversation with 2 great Americans. Man, I'm honored today. I mean, the Marines have landed.
Well, we all work together.
We all work together. And Bill and I have worked together on several things, and I pray that we'll get to do a whole lot more, especially with the National Center for Healthy Veterans. Again, we're talking about what they do. So I want to say, without a doubt, go to the website, National Center for Healthy Veterans.org, and take a look at all that they do. Now, what if you are the spouse of a veteran who's come back and is having problems, physical problems, mental problems, transitional problems? We see a lot of that. Where can you go? How can you get signed up? Well, it's right there on that website. Correct, Bob?
Oh, that's exactly right. So we had a couple come in with their 3 children, and they walked in the door, and I asked the wife, she said, why are you here? Because they were pretty accomplished in other areas of their life. And she said, short-term pain for long-term gain. Because of the trauma that her husband had from the military, they were sort of going down the drain, and they recognized they needed help. And then I turned to the 13-year-old daughter to her side, and I said, why are we here? And the 13-year-old said, we want our daddy back. And so that sort of said it all. And when we have a family come in, we've had some family live in the village, a family of 4. We also have families come in, and the husband will go through the program, and the family is either remote or local. But that implies responsibility to counsel the family. We counsel the children. We put the children in equine therapy. everything, because if you don't get it right in the family with the veteran, you don't get it right. And when they bring families along, we either help them reunite or help that family become whole and healthy again.
I know Cedric couldn't be here today. Cedric White, they do marriage counseling, the Marriage Matters. It's amazing. I think they've worked with you guys. That's where, between Bill and Cedric, I got to know you. And this is important because what we learned when we deployed and went overseas, if you don't have peace of mind about home, or when you go home, you have the boots on and the attitude's a combat attitude, it can be very destructive to a family. So these are some things that we need to learn, and you incorporate this with a family. Now, how many, it's like tiny houses that you have, is that correct?
Right. We have 19 tiny homes right now. 15 are occupied by veterans. That's a full capacity for Village 1, and we have a waiting list. And then we currently, just in this last week, we've put up 3 more houses in our Village 2. We got them under roof. And so Village 2 of 25 total homes will more than double our capacity. So we're, when those additional houses are online by mid-year of this next year, we'll be cranking 50 veterans a year through our programs. And that's this 9-month total reset program.
And so you see how important this is, Bill, that we talk about, let's bring one of these to Dallas, Fort Worth. Let's bring it to North Texas. Why? We've got somewhere close to 500,000 veterans in the North Texas area.
Yep.
We also have somewhere in the neighborhood of 450 defense contractors, many of which have jobs that veterans are already experienced at handling. There's a lot of opportunity. We got more veterans. Now, Dallas-Fort Worth, the VA here is the largest in the nation. Do you know that?
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So right now, Jim, we have 2 from Texas. So we're robbing Texas and trying to help take care of veterans from there. We've got 3 from Florida. We've got New Hampshire, Iowa, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. So we really have some reach across the nation at present, but we need more local nodes, as you point out.
Well, yeah, and you've got one in Kentucky. And we've talked about the equine therapy, which I think is amazing. But don't you also have some work in place or some job training skills that you're doing? Can you explain that?
We do. A couple of things. We have Jobs for Life. Jobs for Life is a video-based career preparation program. That's the 3rd trimester, the 3rd 12-week part of their program. They go through that. They learn about everything from resume preparation to dress for success to various things. And then also we have internships. So based on what we learn about them, about their skills, attributes, preferences, we get them into an internship. Some have been welders, some have been business type of people helping with IT and stuff. One of our graduates, future graduates here in about 3 months, already has a job with SpaceX and Elon Musk.
Wow.
He was a Navy operator, a communicator and things, and he's just got the right skills for that. Another one is going to a Walmart distribution center in New York. So it's really fun to see these guys blossom, do well, because they're, as you say, they've been trained probably better than any part of industry just because they deal with life, death things, and their competencies as an aircraft mechanic or a whatever is so important. So yeah, the industry needs to wrap their arms around even more of these folks.
I think one of the most amazing things that I have learned over the last 10 years is many of the skills veterans have, they started learning them in boot camp, especially when you get your globe and anchor. These things about resilience, these things about being able to adapt, being able to do. These are really, really important skills that the veterans have, but they don't always have the certifications, or they don't always have something that will take them forward, especially, for instance, entrepreneur skills. And so you guys are teaching that in this program. So the question that I have, and Billy, maybe you can help me answer it. If I wanted to sign up, if I qualified and I wanted to sign up, do I have to get in a class, and like boot camp, you're in a class such and such, and you go through with so many people in a regimented deal? Or can you start anytime and so the training is then tailored to you. How does that work?
Well, we operate in cohorts. And so usually a cohort is 5, 6, 7 people. And as they come in, we bring in a cohort every 3 months.
Okay.
So in December 18th, we'll graduate a cohort. And on January 8th, we'll bring a new cohort in. And so at any point in time, we have 3 cohorts on the property. And they're rotating through different phases of the program. And the flywheel is turning, and we just keep cranking these guys out. And as I mentioned, even more when we have our next village online.
I think that's going to be exciting. Matter of fact, I think Diane and I'd like to come down when you open that one up or when you reopen the barn up and do a live deal. So we're going to be right back after these words from all of our partners. It's important that you stay with us, and thank you for DBTV and AUN networks carrying us out to everybody. We're here for you. This is Veterans Impact Show. Welcome back, and thanks to our great sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage, Healing Thine Heart's Ministry, and Symbios Integrative Health. Now, let's get back to this conversation. Hey, welcome back. This is Jim Blythe. I've got Major General Robert Dees, actually better known as Bob Dees, super nice guy and the president of a fantastic organization, the National Center for Healthy Veterans. And also joining me, one of the most, shall I say, enjoyable Marines I know.
Not many of us are.
Yeah. We kid each other. I do want to make a point in saying thank you very much to my sponsors, Fairway Independent mortgage company that I work for, doing senior lending. My NMLS number is 311548. The national one is 2289. We are an equal opportunity lender, and our main offices here in Dallas are at 350 Cedar Sage, Suite 250 in Garland, Texas. Give me a call, 214-502-4600. If you have questions, you can go to jim@veteransimpactshow.com. We'd love to hear from you. Symbios is also a partner, and we're very thankful for them, and they're helping veterans. Bob has met Dr. Ashmore. This is an important program to bring health to veterans and healing. Additionally to that, I want to say a special thank you to Healing Thine Heart Ministries, to the Heart Fellowship Church. Cedric White, he couldn't be with today. He is an amazing minister, an amazing marriage counselor. You want to know more? Again, contact us. He does marriage counseling for military like I've never seen it done before. It's truly made marriage management. Okay, that being said, I want to go back, Bill, because you mentioned to me a story about equine therapy and how important that is.
Well, it's extremely important. And Jim, you had mentioned someone previously that it had a great therapy place in South Dallas. General Dees and I have a very dear friend in Weatherford, Texas, just west of Fort Worth. And he combines a lot of good things with equine therapy, but also he brings his celebrity to this thing too, because therapy is so important, and especially when it's subtle and it's subtly implied. And there's a lot, without getting too philosophical, there's no more enemy for our heroes, our warriors in Afghanistan or Iraq. I haven't been there in 2.5 years. But the main enemy right now is called suicide. Mm-hmm. And General Dees and Valor Farm treat that very, very well in this. And we're fortunate to have a great celebrity billboard artist named Danny Griego, who has an equine farm out here in a nice, beautiful place for the warriors. But also, Danny wrote a song 5.5 years ago called 22. And it's very interestingly and sadly significant, because when he wrote this, we were saying there were 22 heroes a day taking their own lives. Now we are years later, and there's still about that number per day taking their own lives. So I would suggest if anyone would care about Danny Griego's song 22, they play that and they can see in that 4.5 minutes how it brings to light in a very subtle fashion a warrior that might be contemplating suicide and therefore may not. And he's helped us out in a lot of ways, spiritually as well. And again, he does have horses out there on his farm as well. But that's just another integral part of this whole thing that, again, Valor Farm does so well for the program. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of other great foundations. Many give away homes, which is great. But you still have that ingredient that Valor Farm produces that are there with that warrior in that transition period of 9 months where he or she might be contemplating, might have suicidal ideations. And after 9 months and having that gift of the camaraderie, the fellowship, and with other good people involved is why Valor Farm has been and will continue to be so successful.
Well, and we want to see that spread. But we've asked you to donate because we want to get the barn rebuilt. We need about $1 million. So I've made a donation. We need you to make a donation, those that are watching this program around the world. Thanks to DBTV Network and Amazon Fire and Roku and Smart TVs and the AUN Network out in California. They are important outlets for information about veterans because we're helping them out. It's important also when you talk about equine therapy, it's basically a therapy with animals. And one of the things that people can see every day is the number of people with service dogs, both civilian and military. And my company, Fairway Independent Mortgage, has the American Warrior Initiative, and we've given away somewhere in the neighborhood of over 350 service dogs, highly trained service dogs. These are not cheap, and we pay for them. Fairway pays for them. So the animal therapy, if we found out somebody was coming out of Valor Farm and needed a support animal, get a hold of me, Jim Blythe at veteransimpactshow.com, because my company awards service dogs that are trained. And there is a big difference. A lot of people have a dog and they put a harness on it and it says service dog. And I saw one the other day in a meeting, and that dog was anything but a service dog. That can be very, very disruptive. A truly trained service dog, you can step on the poor animal's tail and it won't come unglued. That's important. And the horses that you have in your equine therapy, you better not step on their tail.
Hey, Jim, if I can pitch in here.
Please.
We have a number of service dogs on the property. One is a Belgian Malinois, one of our vets from Afghanistan. Very important to him. In fact, I'm going to bring this gentleman named Kevin to Dallas the next time we come. We'll be there in March and then in June for events there in Dallas. And when we come, Kevin actually was with us for a few months. He fell in love with a young girl. Then he went with the young girl to New Hampshire. And everything was great until it wasn't. And then he called and he was suicidal. And he had just put a rope around his neck, rope around the tree, jumped, and the tree limb broke. And he knew he needed help. And so he also knew he could come back and we would wrap arms around him, which we did. And really intensive suicide watch for 3 weeks. And during that time, he would say God used that time to reshape his heart. And we say our intellectual property, how do we rewire our brain, reshape the heart, restore the soul? And so that's what's happened to Kevin. He's come full circle. He was baptized in the Big Otter River January 1st, so a pretty chilly day, just off of our property. And now he's working for us as our maintenance supervisor and our security officer. So it's stories like that where people come from suicide all the way to great productivity and the ability to help others is what we're about, as Bill Chatfield points out.
I got to tell you, I have heard so many stories about men and women who were just no hope at their wits' end. And I've counseled several, not a whole lot, but you've got to understand that they have so much potential. All they got to do is find that road back. All they got to do is have the team members. And they're used to that in the military, and to come out, many times you feel like you lost it. That's one reason why I think VFW, American Legion, DAV, many of these organizations create so much and do so much for the veteran. The point that I want to make again is Valor Farm is 9 months. And what's the cost to the veteran, Bob?
Well, the cost to the veteran is nothing. We have private donors that support our operation now. We've only been in existence 4 years. Over time, we hopefully will get better governmental support. We've got a small grant from Virginia, but nothing else at this point in time. But yeah, it doesn't cost the veteran anything.
That's important, because if you've got problems and you go to mental health treatment, you're going to get 30 days. Your insurance is going to cover it. After that, you're on your own. 30 days isn't enough time to really dry out. 30 days isn't enough time to really get yourself on track. Yeah, to rewire the brain. And in part of that rewiring, I think has got to be teaching job skills, social skills, regaining these things. This is what you've experienced, right, Bob?
Oh, exactly. That's why we say that's what's our intellectual property. Tunnel to Towers, everybody's familiar with that organization. They do great work putting people in houses. They've just made us one of their authorized providers. So they basically send people our way. And they've said the hard lessons that they sometimes have learned is with the people in the houses. You can put people in houses, but if you don't really work the inner man or the family, then very quickly they end up with the same problems they had before.
Without a doubt. And I do think, though, one of the most important things, because I've been in real estate literally all my life. My dad worked for a real estate company, and so I've been around it. A home is the best stabilizing factor in the world for a family, in my opinion. But again, the home has got to have a heart. The home has got to have certain amount of strength and structure and things that are brought together in respect. A family is a covenant deal. It's not a contract. It's a covenant. And you got to work together. And many times you got to learn how to work together. And you're talking about in Valor Farms, having the ability for enough time for that family to learn to work together.
Oh, exactly. One of our folks, it was fun. He was a very accomplished businessman, and we got towards the end of his program, and we were discussing what should internship look like. And I said, you don't need a business internship. You're going to knock, it out of the park. What you need is a family internship. So I want you to develop a family plan. And he was good to his word, and he developed a family plan. It was very creative. He had the young 6-year-old was the assistant to the CEO. The 13-year-old was the chief idea officer. And so they really did this. And then he also was faithful to have weekly meetings with some of his children and his wife, and date night and all those things. So even before they left, we got them on track with what we're doing. And that was really, a great outcome for them. And we learned a lot in the process of helping families get healthy.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I love working with Cedric, but what they do, because Diane and I went through their marriage management class, Marriage Matters. And again, this is very important that we help veterans be healthy. That's what the National Center for Helping Veterans Be Healthy is all about. They are focused on one at a time helping people. It's not a giant mass production of 1,000. You're not going to a campus like the university where you're there with thousands of people. You are focused on you and your family and the help that they have. I'm sure you have counseling that goes along with this, correct, Bob?
Yeah, of course. We have licensed professional counselors, coaches, we have chaplains, case managers that help them not only assess our referrals that come from all across the country, whether or not we're right for them, but also the case managers. Right now, today, we have a Department of Veterans Affairs team here, about 6 people that are meeting with our veterans on site to work their disability classifications and so forth. So yeah, we're in every way possible. We call that veteran care. That also is the entity in our organization that reaches out to the VA hospital and also reaches out to civilian medical care. And then assessment, Jim, is awfully important for us. We want to know what makes them tick, and we give them, when they arrive, a psychological battery. We give them physical therapy assessments. We do blood samples, stool samples to check their gut health and their blood health. So we really dive deeply. We also give them an occupational interest inventory, because that occupational interest inventory shows them immediately that we care about their future professional success. What are they interested in? How do we start weaving that together on their behalf? So we have counseling and all that goes with that. It's part of the integrated, holistic approach that we take.
Bill, I don't know a single program in the civilian world that's as intensive and 9 months long as this is. Not at all. This is strictly a military benefit of having men like Bob Dees.
Jim, I agree totally. Like I said, I'm familiar with quite a few organizations that, matter of fact, we did a survey years ago, and the number's still, there are 43,000 foundations, 43,000 501c3, and they each deserve to do that, and we're delighted. But I don't know all 43,000, but I know a few of them. And Jim, what you said is exactly accurate. There are very, very few that have this kind of effective program to work on a daily basis with the heroes. And the graduate level, we can pretty well say that they're going to be in a much better way, in a much better state to adjust back to civilian life.
I want to go back to one of the statements you made, Bob, about you have like a job skills inventory. Maybe I'm using the wrong terms, but basically trying to assess, what are you good at? If I have heard one thing from a young veteran, I mean, think about this for a second. The vast majority of veterans went into the military at age 17 and 18, correct?
Right.
I mean, that's where they are. And on my aircraft carrier, I think the oldest person there was the chaplain, and everybody else would, the senior officers were in their 30s and 40s. Most of the people, the average age on that carrier was probably 20 years old. And that's true in just about any of your military organizations. The average age is about 20 years old. They don't have the same civilian life skills because they just came out of high school and went in. And many of them have said, and where I'm leading up to is they say to me, Mr. Blythe, I don't know what I want to do. Well, you really need a job skills assessment. You really need to back off. You really need some time to work at various things to be able to find, okay, this is the direction I want to go. But you know what I found, Bill, and you have too, just because you go a direction doesn't mean you can't change.
Right.
Doesn't mean that this won't lead to that. Doesn't mean that this is the final place you're going to be. Because, man, I've been through so many companies and so many things in commercial development, mortgage, you name it. And that's what we want people to know. You can go there to Valor Farm. When we come back, we're going to wrap this up. I want to find out, can some of this information then be acquired for people who don't go to Valor Farm? Can they get online training? So when we come back, maybe you can answer that one. I want to say thank you again to Bill Chatfield for being here. I hope you get to come back more often.
If I'm invited, I might just show up.
I've got to tell you, that's a good deal. And I mean, the Marines have landed and I feel safe.
Well, especially with people like General Bob Dees on, I'll be here 100%.
Okay. Well, we're going to get some more, and we're going to get that singer-songwriter. I want to get him on. All right. This is Veterans Impact Show. We're here for you. We're here to support veterans, and supporting veterans supports everybody in America. Stay with us. We've got one more segment. We're going to enjoy Bob Dees for just a minute more. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and thanks to our great sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage, Healing Thine Heart's Ministry, and Symbios Integrative Health. Now, let's get back to this conversation. All right, I want to say thank you for being on board. Again, you can reach me at area code 214-502-4600 or go to Jim at veteransimpactshow.com. I'll get that. I get them. I'm hearing from people all over the nation. I'm hearing from people who are saying, man, I'm having a great experience. I'm hearing, Jim, I'm having a terrible experience. I'm having a hard time. We do the best we can to help people. And I'm sending people to Valor Farm and to the National Center for Healthy Veterans and Bob Dees. Bob, you had one more thing you wanted to add in, if I remember correctly?
Well, our programmatic intentional sequence is resilience, and then trauma recovery, a thing called reboot, and then thirdly, the career prep. So on the resilience, that's really a critical part of our thing. People can go to resiliencegodstyle.com. You mentioned virtual. How do people do it if they're not with us residentially? And so we're cranking the virtual programs more, but right now they can go to resiliencegodstyle.com. They can see the whole curriculum that we offer to our patriots during that 12 weeks of resilience training. And then something else is that we're partnered with, in fact, in Dallas, June Hunt, Hope for the Heart, and Dr. Eric Scalise, who's now the president of Hope for the Heart. And we are partnered because I've produced 30 videos for them on resilient life, basically as an individual, then resilient leadership, and then resilient demographics, resilience for people with long-term infirmity, resilience for people that are incarcerated, homeless, et cetera, resilient parenting, resilient family. All of those resilient videos are offered through the International Christian Coaching Institute at Hope for the Heart. And the net is that we are training at our end using that curriculum, our military graduates, our veteran graduates, to be coaches. And they will leave here with a coaching certification, because I think, you grow counselors, and it takes a long time as you go through all the academic requirements and so forth. But you can train coaches, and you can train coaches in a reasonably short period of time. And so when you tap the peer mentoring power of veteran to veteran, and then you give one of those peer mentors some additional education about how to coach, how to encourage, resilience principles, now you've got a powerful dynamic. And so we want to grow and train many of those coaches that spread out all across America. As they leave here, we want them to go coach and help other people.
Now, say that again so Diane can write it down, because that's something I'd like to look at and bring them. And I know June Hunt. Diane and I know June. Sure. Matter of fact, Cedric offices in their building. So say that again, where we can find that.
Well, it's the International Christian Coaching Institute,
okay,
ICCI, and that's under June Hunt's organization. And they've been doing this for maybe 5 years. And they have a coaching specialties in almost every area, to include my area, which is really military resilience. And they do great producing content, videos, books, etc. So they're a great partner for us in this endeavor.
I think that's great. I want to be a resource. Like, I know if you want to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to send you to Patrick Alcorn. If you want help and you need help, I'm going to send you to Valor Farm. If you need something else, job placement, there's a huge push with the Texas Veterans Commission and with the Texas Employment Commission, the workforce, to help veterans. They get the highest priority. I think that's important. Somebody says, well, why should they get a higher priority than I am? Quite frankly, they signed a blank check at one point in their life and raised their right hand. Now, you were very instrumental, Bill, in protecting Hawaii for several years, weren't you?
Well, when you were safely on a ship in Vietnam coast, but you still participated, I defended the other coast, as a good Marine would, hit the beach in a very secretive mission called Waikiki. I don't think anyone's ever heard of it, but it was a tough beach, but not one bad actor got east of Waikiki Beach. I patrolled it.
I got to tell you, Bill, I joke with you a little bit, but nobody knows more people and nobody does more for veterans in Dallas than Bill Chatfield. Yeah. And so I thank you for that. You can take a little ribbing, and I know I'm going to get clobbered with a one-liner before it's all over.
Oh, you will. When we're off camera, you will get it. Yeah.
Well, I just endorse Bill's his network and his heart for veterans. So God bless you, Bill.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Bob.
I think that's one of the most important things. So again, to recap, we're talking about helping Valor Farm. We're talking about being part of what's the National Center for Healthy Veterans. Please, Jordan, if you can put up that website for just a second. We want people to donate. I'm donating. We want people to be a part of this because it's going to help. It's not just about the families that are there in Virginia at Valor Farm. It's about everybody because we want this to grow across the nation. We want this training. We just told you where you can go get it with June Hunt. So it's important that you be a part of that. It's important that you donate. If 100,000 veterans each gave $10, let me tell you something, you'd have a brand new barn overnight. And we need to do that to help you. So, Bob, thank you so much for being on board. Thank you and bless you for all you do. And boys, I like to close with a prayer. So, Lord God,
Jim.
Lord God of the universe, we thank you for men like Bill Chatfield and for General Bob Dees and all they do to provide leadership and connection. We thank you for our active duty military, dear God, and we thank you for the hedge of protection that you put around them, keeping them safe from harm's way. We thank you for protecting our first responders as well. Thank you for bringing us all together. And thank you for our veterans who are working to bring this nation back together, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In Christ's holy name I pray, amen.
Amen.
I got to tell you, this has been so much fun today to talk to you, Bob. Again, Valor Farm, please donate, be a part of reconstruction of a great facility, and you're saving lives. Right, Bill?
Yes, sir.
All right. And Bill, man, we'd love to have you back. Come on more often, you know?
Be careful. I'll show up.
Okay, that's a deal. Well, thank you
We're
so much.
grateful, Jim. We appreciate it.
Thank
God
you,
bless
sir. And thank you, everyone, for being part of Veterans Impact Show. Let us know. We're here to help you. Send me an email. I'm always here to help. Thank you again, and good day.